Hello reefers! Today we'll show you how to correctly assemble and use All-in Skim, Aquaforest's 4-in-1 filtration system. This device combines protein skimmer, air filter, CO2 filter and biological filter in one compact unit. Unpack and lay out all the parts included in the package. Reaction chamber, foam cup, activated carbon chamber, sponge for the carbon chamber, air filter cover, 2 CO2 filter, CO2 filter lids, 2 CO2 filter mounts, 4 sponges for CO2 filter, biological media chamber, skimmer base with pump mount and silicone feet, reflow pump, threaded connector, controller, power supply, float valve, venturi, silicone O-ring, 4 silicone tubing, 1 silicone tubing with screw end, 9 screw, air scrubber media, carbon, life biofill. If everything's there, you're ready to assemble the device. Make sure you have enough workspace. Unscrew the bolts attaching the reaction chamber to the skimmer base. Take the pump out of its packaging. Place the pump in the mounting slot located on the skimmer base. Pass the pump's power cable through the designated slot. Attach the biological media chamber base to the top outlet of the pump. Screw a 32mm nipple onto the top outlet of the pump. Pour life biofill into the chamber. Put the lid onto the biological media chamber and the nipple. If you don't want to use the biological media chamber, simply screw the 32mm nipple directly onto the pump's top outlet. Place the reaction chamber onto the skimmer base with the pump installed and tighten all screws. Place the O-ring on the venturi. Insert the silicone tubes into its connectors. Insert the venturi into the pump's connector so that the seal fits tightly and securely. Using 4 screws, attach 2 CO2 filter holders to the reaction chamber collar in your chosen position. Place the skimmer in the sump or continue assembly on your work surface. However, remember that moving a fully assembled skimmer into the sump may cause the filter or chamber contents to spill. Insert 1 sponge into the bottom of each CO2 filter. Attach the silicone tube from the venturi to the CO2 filter valves and slide it into the holders on the reaction chamber collar. Carefully add the CO2 absorbing media to both CO2 filters, then place the sponge on top. Do this slowly to prevent dust from entering the biological chamber. Attach the tube with the screw to the CO2 filter lid. Connect the 2 shorter silicone tubes to the fittings on the CO2 filter lids. Attach the lids with the tubes onto the filters. Place the collection cup onto the reaction chamber collar. Mount the float valve to the bottom part of the collection cup lid and to the carbon chamber base. Pass the float valve signal cable through the dedicated slot in the lid. Attach the lid to the collection cup. Place the large diameter sponge into the carbon chamber. Pour in the activated carbon. Put the lid on the carbon chamber. Connect the tubes from the CO2 filter lids to the fittings on the carbon chamber lid. Connect the pump's power cable and the float valve signal cable to the controller. Plug the pump's power cable into the appropriate socket on the controller. The All-in Skim is assembled. Place it in the sump if you haven't done so earlier. Plug in the power supply and turn on the pump. Adjust the pump power according to the recommended settings and the water level in the reaction chamber, depending on your tank's stock level. Here's a table. Use the adjustment valves at the bottom of the CO2 filters to set the amount of air intake until the noise level is comfortable for you. And your all-in skim is ready to go. Important information. The skimmer is equipped with a float valve that prevents water from overflowing. Once the water reaches a certain level, the valve automatically shuts off the device. Make sure the float valve doesn't touch the skimmer's housing, so it can function properly. If you notice water coming out through the small hole in the water level indicator tube, it means the water level is too high and needs adjustment. All-in Skim is a complete compact filtration system for your aquarium. When assembled correctly and maintained regularly, it ensures clean water, stable pH, and healthy corals. Thanks for watching, and good luck creating your perfect aquarium.